But look at that. He's wearing the shirt and everything.
Let's go. I don't have a CornStars shirt. I want to point that out immediately. There's two things that I want to start this episode in everybody's beautiful earballs. I do not have a CornStars shirt. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. Also, number two.
There's a reason though. Okay. And that's because I want to play around with the logo a little more and do try and change it up. Because I'm still don't know how I feel about it, even though it's been like a year. I don't know.
I dig it.
So yeah. I'm gonna get some done at some point. I just want to like what I look at before I do it. So
yeah.
But this is episode 15 of CornStars, and it is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com, Facebook, Instagram, BlackBoxCages.com. Use the code THN at checkout. Save yourself a little bit of money. I think Eric caught some of that Black Box action with the Reed raffle.
Yeah,
I did.
It's phenomenal. He got the Bio-G, which is, I love those things. That's what I got my rhinos and my Persimmon in, and they work great. It's great size, very versatile, works for all kinds of stuff.
I got my last set of shelves in 2 days ago, and I'll be buying something from them. I'm going to get a display cage for some lychees. So I have locked in. I just need to make sure I have the room and we'll know the size. And so I'm excited to try their products out and give a good review on them.
Cool. Need to go check them out. Whether you need a rack or you need a cage, Black Box all the rage. And then you need to go and give Silent Hill Reptiles a follow. Mr. JT, Mr. I'm taking the year off from breeding, Fitzgerald, who's somehow going to be producing like 10 clutches or something like that.
He has paired nothing, and I know that he's over 60 eggs already.
I mentioned that to him when he said he wasn't going to do it. I'm like, them girls are going to go all by themselves.
He messaged me. He's like, feel free to joke at my expense about my great season of taking the year off. So
yeah, it turns out that we actually don't have a say in what Mother Nature thinks it's supposed to do, regardless of how domesticated we think these animals are.
Yeah. So he's gonna have some awesome stuff up for grabs here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and some of them are like bangers. Like there's some of his best pairs. Yeah, so I'm just like, all right.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm like, I'll take one of everything, and two of the really good stuff. So, yeah, go check them out on Facebook and Instagram as well, and then see their availability. SilentHillReptiles.com. Both are awesome people.
Yeah,
both produce some awesome corns, and another person who produces awesome corns that is back for another round with us is Mr. Eric Westmorland of ECW Reptiles. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you jumping in.
Thanks for having me back.
Jumping in for us. So we have people lined up. It's just people have lives and people get busy and things happen, and
my schedule sucks balls.
So. And Chris's schedule sucks. So other than that, we're working on. We've got people in the pipeline, just haven't fully ironed things out yet. So
we're going to send at least one set of headphones out to somebody, and we've got a couple other people that are interested in coming on. So we're going to make it happen.
Schedules are tough, man, especially when you got 3 people and then time zones and all kinds of stuff. So, but yeah, I feel like when was it? We had Eric on a couple months ago. I feel like it might have been longer than that.
6 months ago, I think. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, sounds about right. End of summer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Early fall.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, we covered a lot, but I also feel like I knew sort of going into that one and finishing it, I was like, there's no way we're gonna hit to everything that we want to talk about. So this worked out.
Chris got us off on pits.
That's right.
Oh man,
yeah, he completely just.
I hope y'all don't think we're not talking about that today.
threw that stick in the tire of the bicycle and just derailed the entire thing. Breeding season is upon us.
Yeah, it is.
I know Chris has some eggs coming soon. Eric's gotten a couple clutches already, right?
Yep. One corn. I've got 6 that are due between now and next Tuesday.
Nice.
Corns.
What do you have on the ground outside of Corns? We'll just jump into kind of like a season update.
Believe it or not, my Cow Kings went. What I got 2 or 3 clutches of those right now.
Nice.
And then my poulters, they went. My Japanese rats went way back in early February.
Mm-hmm.
And then those Coxeye gave me some dud eggs again too.
The Oreo Cryptophis are kind of funky.
Oh man, them Coxeye are. I was all scheduled. I was going to sell them off at Tinley.
Yeah.
My wife's like, no, don't. So I went to Tinley and we just doubled down and got another male.
Nice. That's how you do it.
Went the other direction on that one. I would love to get those, man. I think it's my room's too warm. I don't think they wouldn't jive well with my setup. So.
Yeah, they like it cold.
Yeah. They would be like perfect in my room. And I kind of recognize that. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to not. Last year I got rid of a lot of my Asian stuff, sent it all to Billy Hunt. And it's kind of, I'm just in this weird spot where I try not to add any more because I've got project after project after project that's going to require line breeding. That's going to require a lot of holdbacks. And it's like, what do you know what I mean? I have to look at the future. I have to. And the room's still not built. It hasn't happened. Somehow my wife got a brand new car. You know what I mean?
Funny how that happens.
There's literally like a brand new BMW SUV sitting in my garage, and I'm just like, I don't have a room. I don't know. We have landscaping done. Fucking here I am. And I've got room for what I've got. But I know that anything that I add right now, I've got time. It's not a time issue. It's a feasibility of the future. If I don't get off my ass, get the room done over the next 3 years, I've got to get it done in the next year or two. But I'll overwhelm myself in the sense of anxiety on cleanliness and organization and not being able to move around a room and feeling fluid in your space. It's so difficult. So that's something a lot of us.
When you're a mile wide and an inch deep on projects, you got a million things going on and there's not a ton of focus in any one direction.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get spread out just across multiple morphs or species or whatever. And
yeah.
Sometimes you got to, rein it back in. And I've gone through that. I know we've talked about it on multiple shows. It's super easy to do. Like you just, there's always cool stuff floating around, especially with corns.
Oh yeah.
Morph wise and stuff, especially, when
you wake up one day and go, what's going on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where'd all this come from?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Open that tub and say, why do I have you? Where'd you whose goddamn baby is that?
Our disgusting group chat where somebody posts something and we're all just like, oh, we all should buy those. Yeah, we do need more Castania. You're right. Oh man, these lavender peach things are just delicious looking. Let's get some of those too. And Eric will post up, I'm gonna keep this one back. And I'm like, man, that Sunkissed Cinder or Sunkissed Annery Vanishing Stripe is pretty cool. Eric, you gonna make more of those this year? That's a pretty neat snake.
Hopefully.
Hey, that's a badass snake.
I know. That thing
snake,
is,
dude.
I got lucky with that. I was just killer. I was like, I did not expect that.
It looks weird. And I hope that doesn't sound odd, but it's the most odd looking little baby corn that I've seen in a while. And it just strikes you as like, man, this thing it's a patternless corn that's gray, but it has this neat flecking of black throughout it. I don't know. I bet it's cool in person.
It's really, the funny thing about it is it's a thin animal. It's getting fed just with everyone else. It's just smaller and thinner.
Huh.
And I can't, I was like,
interesting.
Figure it out.
Yeah, that's odd, but no, it's super cool, and I hope you make more. I like it when they have the little sunspots down their back, but I think it's really neat to see that one, kind of the vanishing stripe. It doesn't have tester in it though, right?
Nope. My male was that Bam Bam. He's a hypo sunkissed stripe, het cinder, het caramel, het annery. I think he's het amel too.
Nice.
And then I put him to an annery that was for sure het sunkissed, het stripe, and then it ended up being het caramel too.
Mm-hmm.
So I held back another one from that group because it just looked weird. I knew it was annery sunkissed.
Yeah.
But I was like, there's something else too. Something's it's really clean, and I'm pretty sure it's caramel, and I think it's an Anery caramel sun-kissed.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I posted that on Corn Snake Morph ID. Like everyone's giving me all thumbs up. I'm like, no, I'm asking for some help.
This is an actual question, damn it.
Sarah's finally stumped for the first time. She just gets on. She's like, okay, guys, we have a problem. I actually don't know. Fuck this animal. It's cool. It's neat. It's unique. I'm excited to see what it looks like.
Knowing the current state of social media, there's people who are probably like, why are you keeping it on the table? Why is there light on it?
Yeah.
It's not fat enough. Feed it more.
Oh, that yeah.
She know what you're doing.
Thin. She is thin, and she's just little. And I have a sun-kissed Anery male. His name is Dinks for a reason. He's like, I don't even think he's 200 grams yet. He's 4 years old.
Oh wow,
he's just little.
Yeah,
he's like one of the best breeders though.
That Castagna Motley male that I have, that Kasicki sent me, like I feed him a pretty good bit, and he just doesn't.
Yeah,
he just stays thin. Like he just doesn't seem to put on weight. He doesn't really lose weight either. He just exists.
Yep.
My golden neck Anery stripe boy. He's 4 years old, 4 or 5 this year. He's small. He's maybe 225 grams. He's an all-star breeder, though. Well, obviously, y'all saw that last episode where he just immediately started breeding, which is good. Hey, so she's in prelay, so that's good. I'll jump into some of my stuff. I got Sunspot, which is my AML Motley, unknown het, so she's never bred for me. Is gravid as hell. She just gave me her prelay. The Snow to the Stripe that we did on air. She's in prelay shed now. Pewter to caramel Tessera het diffused. She's gravid. My Clarice baby to Clarice son. So my real nice honey is gravid as hell. What else? Oh my that heavy reverse Okatee girl is I paired, so reverse Okatee, just super, super white. I mean, insane, massive white, neon orange. I went ahead and paired her to my Ultra Male Motley Tessera boy. So hopefully get some high Okatee expression Ultra Males. That would be really cool. And maybe even some Tessera in there. Not super excited about the Tesseras in that particular pairing. Though reverse Okatee Tesseras are beautiful. But do some just heavy reverse Okatee Ultra Males. Ooh, just get me all riled up.
Russell's your Jimmies.
Russell's my Jimmies. Pied Blood Red, Het Charcoal Girl, gravid again. This will be my, I think, 4th year breeding her to my charcoal het diffused Tessera boy. That big ass caramel girl that I have, the monster, she just shed, and I don't know if she's gravid or not. So I paired.
So big you can't tell.
Yeah, I can't tell. I can't feel anything in there, but she's bigger around than any Pituophis I have. So I've got her.
Seen like a 40 egg clutch from her.
Yeah, I don't know, but I've got her. I paired the male back in, and they're never really exciting. So we'll see. I've seen him lock up with her. I know it's a female for sure, but that may be a clutch now. That may be a clutch later. But I hope. I just wonder. Honestly, it was getting her real healthy. Matt's done a really good. The gentleman who owns her did a real good job with her before I got her, and I think I got her to a real good point. There's like for sure more corn snakes that I bred, and I don't remember them right now. I'm going crazy with king snakes right now. Pairing king snakes is always exciting. I think I've sent multiple pictures to the group of Dayrai or Leonis with a snake head down their mouth. Super fun.
Dude, those things
exciting.
are freaking nuts.
They're so fun.
No, that particular pair is just off the chain.
They're so pretty. Last year they produced beautiful babies, but every single time I pair them while they're breeding, the female tries to eat the male. So I've got to feed them and then pair them that night or maybe the next morning.
Maybe he's into that. Who knows?
He's harder, joke me. But it's funny. She doesn't wrap him up. She just starts swallowing him.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, sure.
I sent a picture, and I shouldn't be taking pictures of these things. I get. I know what I'm doing. This happens every time. And the snake's head is just all.
As if this is how I go. This is how I go. It is what it is.
And they're wrapped up down each other, and I'm just all, this is such a stupid snake.
That's what I had. I dealt with that with the bimaculata pair. I did, thankfully happened to walk in the room while I was getting the grill started and was waiting on it to warm up to check on things. And she was same thing. Like she was in the process of eating him. And I'm like, what the hell? Like they've been cohab together for like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
No problems. And then all of a sudden
They're
she's like,
such
yep,
idiots.
I'm going to eat you. I had to separate them. And she had him a good bit down, like maybe almost a third of the body was down the gullet. And I mean, they're both fine, but
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
God, dude.
I got JNI eggs due any day. Super excited for that. My favorite snakes. Northern Pines locked a few times. I've got Chinese Beauty eggs on the ground. They bred in brumation.
Yep.
Super neat.
That.
I have a few visual locks from my Baja Gophers, which is extremely exciting. This is year 5, so my 3rd year trying them. And I think that's right. Yeah, tried them at 3, tried them at 4. This year and you know what? Both times they locked up, it was raining. So I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. Pair them when it's raining.
I mean, that makes sense given where they don't see a lot of rainfall naturally. So I'm sure that's a very big sort of trigger for that.
I love low pressure systems moving in.
Yep.
And I try to get everybody in there. I was racing one day. I just happened to be feeding. It was a feeding day. I split everybody up. And here come the clouds in. I'm like, all right, just hurry up and get it swallowed down. You guys are going back in.
Yeah, it's nice. We've had weird weather this year too. It was 96 degrees, then 35 the next week, and it's been off and on. But for some reason, that's kicking off really good breeding action. I got the reverse stripe Male Morum have been going at it. I haven't seen any locks, but I've definitely seen the action from the two. They're pretty shy. Aberrant McBullen Wildcats, Male Morum as well, kind of doing the same thing. And I've been tossing my albino female Emery Iron with the reverse stripe Male Morum. So that's a huge project. I'm hoping goes off, because if that happens, we get to see something we've never seen before. In a few, obviously, few years, 3-5 years, we'll get to see some snakes that have never been made, which not like a world first thing, because these aren't like
step in the right direction.
It's gonna be really neat. But that's lots of alternative locks. Alternative, once they start shedding, they start breeding. It's really cool. So they're pretty predictable. Lots of Leonis locks. I think I have.
How many Leonis pairs did you have going this year?
I had 4 pairs going, and I have 3 confirmed locks. 3 pairs that have locked multiple times.
Gotcha.
I have one female that's a Frank Reitz line, very high white milk snake phase, and for some reason she hasn't shed, and there's no interest with any of the males. And I could put a male in with another female, and he'll lock up like that. And then I could put him in with her, and they don't even pay attention to her. I have probed her; she is female.
That's what I had to do with that one Buford, man. Like, couldn't tell if it was male or female. Shed looked female, probe male, and so I put it in with the boy. No real reaction. This was before everyone had their sheds after cooling.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, so I put in another female in case it was a male. No reaction. And then it finally shed, and I put in a male, and no reaction. It was a smaller male, and he just freaked out and was like, get away from me. And then I put in that Ladies Island female, and he was like, oh, so it's a boy.
Yeah, I think I need to maybe do that with this girl. Throw her in
before they could lock. I separated them. But.
Yeah. Also, I got a killer super salmon snow tessera from Jeff Bong this year, early in the year, and I
forgot about that.
She's gorgeous. Oh, she's gorgeous, and she's big enough. She's be a small female, but she shed, and I was just messing with her, taking a picture, and I was like, "Oh man, you're ovulating." So I threw in this tiny little male JMG strawberry. That's actually strawberry snow. So he's got red factor and strawberry, real pretty, real clean. And I threw him in with their dude. They locked. So they've had like 3 locks already. So that might happen, which is exciting, because that's a cool snake to produce.
It's so bizarre. I don't really see locks from like my corns and the bears and stuff. Like sometimes I'll hear something going on, but in terms of like visually opening a tub and seeing locks, I have yet to do that. Like the Diones and stuff, it was like immediate when I've bred those. The chondros, you can definitely tell the male's trying, but they're also out in plain view the entire time. But the corns and stuff, like I've always put them together and just left them together, and then as soon as I saw the females grab it, pulled him. But I've never seen locks from them.
I think I got that king snake mentality where I'm like check them every few minutes, and so I'm always checking everything at the same time. My Baja California Kings, my conjuncta, bred for 26 hours. Huge shout out to the male, Lucifer. He is a giant piece of shit. The female is as well. But 26 hours of sex, I'm just absolutely amazed. I am so proud of them.
Some kind of a record,
dude. Like literally, but I took the male out, and he was like he was like. I set him in his tub, and he was just like flop back down, and I was like, "My man, I feel you, dog."
I freaked out one year with Cal Kings. They were locked up for like 23 plus hours. I'm like, man, he's stuck. He's stuck in there.
There's no way.
Up. So I was like, I went and got sugar water. I'm like, man, this ain't right, dude.
Dude.
And it's like, what are you doing? Why are you taking me away? Like, what?
Yeah, I know.
Dude, and you're immediately cleaning that tub because there is semen everywhere. It is fucking everywhere. It's on the roof. It's on the sides of the tub. It's all over everything.
Like a 14-year-old who just discovered the internet.
I swear, it's so weird. And some of them don't do that, right? Like I've had, all my Mexicana stuff breeds for like 2 seconds. They lock up immediately, and then they go to their own sides.
It's all business.
Very
transactional.
Those Eastern Black Kings I had that Bill Bradley has now did the same thing. It bred for just all night long. I was like, wow, 8 hours is just insane. And then these two, and I know they're done breeding because they're eating again. Because usually they won't eat while they're wanting to breed, and then I can actually hold them. It's really cool. Like they don't try to bite me. And now every time I open up their tubs, they come flying out with their mouth open like a fucking sandworm.
Their bloodthirst is curbed by the drive for procreation. So
Justin, what do you got? What do you got going?
The Ghost Tessera is gravid and on the sort of tail end of a prelay shed, it looks like. She was the one that I paired with the blood red pied male. And then the Ladies Island female that I paired the Castagna Motley male to, she also seems gravid and is in a prelay. She doesn't seem to be as far along as the Ghost Tessera girl, but she's also bigger than her. So I think maybe it doesn't feel as obvious as it does on the Ghost girl, but
yeah.
Those are good. And then I put rhinos together.
Awesome.
The male has been given it his all. I haven't seen anything from them either. She like goes and hides in the water bowl and he follows her. And so I'll just walk in and they'll both be sitting in the water bowl with their heads poking out. I don't know if he's gotten the job done or not. I'd imagine he would, given how persistent he's been. So we'll see there. And then thought about putting Dion's together. I don't think I'm going to do those this year, but Loma Alta. I put a Loma Alta Bairds with the male hypo. I know he tried. I think I felt some sort of either follicles or eggs in the works. So
nice.
That'll be good. And I think that's it. It's going to be kind of a smaller season.
That's not a bad thing. This season's going to be smaller for me than it was last year. Last year was too much. I bred a lot of pits.
Mm-hmm.
And so this year I didn't do black pines. I didn't do gophers. Didn't do bull snakes. So
I got that other male Castagna from Kasicki. That he's not motley. He's just a Castagna.
Yeah.
And I was really wanting to pair him to the Ladies Island female, just because I didn't want motley or anything I didn't want anything else in there. I just wanted Castagna, and I don't know what hets were in there. I don't think Mike said he either knew or there weren't any. I don't know for sure. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look, but. Since he's, he came in recently and having the same issue that I had with the pieds and stuff after they came in and breeding them and the male having issues, I listened to the tiny Chris Payne shab in the back of my head saying, do it next year.
Yeah.
And
females, no problem. I don't know what it is. You ship I could ship you a ovulating female, if she's looking good, pair her up, they'll be fine. Males it just doesn't work, and I don't have anything to stand by on that and why it is, but I've heard it from multiple people, and it's just a weird thing. I don't know why. Maybe I'm sure there's isolated incidents where it's fine, right? Like I ship you a male, breed him all day, he's fine. But everybody that's like, oh, my male bred my females, I'll ship you my male, and he'll go to their facility or whatever, and literally either won't breed or infertile eggs. Maybe
that's odd. I mean,
yeah.
Because a lot of times you can take a snake for a ride if he's not breeding. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
take it for
this
a car
just seems
ride.
to be like long distance though.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if barometric pressure, humidity levels, or just being, they have some level of territory, right? And maybe they just don't feel like it's a safe. I don't know. It's so weird. But females are always fine. An ovulating female. Well, I mean, I don't know. I've heard of people shipping snake eggs, like corn snake eggs, and they're fine. No problem. The eggs will hatch. But for some reason, males don't always do well. Like I said, there's got to be instances, and maybe my experience has just been what my experience is, and a few others have been similar. But it's a weird thing.
Yeah. I don't know. If that other Beaufort corn that I didn't know which, if it was a boy or a girl until recently, if that ended up being a female, I would have definitely paired. What was I planning to do there? That little, I had the same young het Sunkiss male that I have was going to go to her if it was a her. And that was one of the ones that I used to test to see if it was a male or female. And as soon as I put him in with that corn, he was trying to get as far away from him as possible, which was interesting because I have, you normally you put male corns together like that and you don't really see any issues or anything like that. But like, it was like as soon as he figured out what was happening, he was like, hell no, man. So that would have been a really nice pair.
Yeah.
He's I've got plenty of stuff lined up for that younger male, in the coming years. I just figured with the really nice contrast and super dark saddles of that Beaufort animal with, he has that sort of similar phenotype, but, isn't even close to like locality and wild type in terms of that stuff. But it would be a good combination. So that
you
was
got that
plan.
little, you got a little male caramel sun-kissed stripe, right? Little honey stripe.
I have a honey tessera, and then I have the honey stripe as a female.
Oh, okay. I was about to say
it's supposed to be a female. I don't know. I need to double check because I was looking at the tail last time I had it out, and I'm like, that seems awfully long.
That should be coming to size, right?
Yeah. If that's a pair, then they'll definitely be ready by next season for sure.
My honey tessera from JT, he could have gone this year, but I used my caramel. Damn it, my brain. Yeah, my caramel from him. Also, same dad. They're all children of Hannibal. But at losing that female last year, I was like, well, I want to give him one more go to my honey female, just to get one more clutch from him. See if I can get another caramel similar to that female I had. She was I just a single gene caramel with that Miami lineage. Potentially het cinder, right? Like we know that het cinder kind of can kick off a specific look. But she was just a gorgeous snake. Unappreciated for sure because it's they kind of come out looking like poopers, but so I wanted to get one more chance of getting another one of those so I can hold her back, and I held a female back from them last year, so it's kind of funny. I might have two females. I've held another one back this year, but you gotta hold them all back, right? You just gotta hold them all back. So anybody listening, I have a female het diffused het charcoal classic that is one of the coolest looking snakes. I held it back. I'm not going to keep her. She's, if somebody wants her, she is $5 plus shipping. I was looking for a home for her at the reptile show, and I wasn't selling her. I was going to give her to a kid, and I literally gave her to a kid, and the kid was so stoked, and his parents were going to go buy all the stuff, and they were like, okay, we're going to go buy all the stuff, come back and grab her, and they came back and they were like, oh, it's a little too much right now, and I was like, that totally understand. I gave my card, but I never heard back from them, so I feel bad. But yeah, so I have a little girl that just needs a home. So that happens.
Eric had that whole batch. I think the last time we talked to him, he had that batch of just classics or wild types, whatever you want to call them. And there was majority of those look really, really, really good.
A classic corn snake is really hard to beat.
Good ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, Eric, I got that male honey from you last year. I got 3 snakes from you, and the lavender charcoal.
The mystery
diffused.
boy.
No, I got the lavender charcoal diffused.
Oh yeah, right.
Girl, she's awesome. And then that mystery boy, he's getting super light, real light. He's lighter than any other charcoal that I have that's similar age. That charcoals I held back last year, so he's real cool looking. But that male honey you sent me, it's a badass snake, man. His head is just like completely pale, and he's starting to get all that perfect creamy yellow.
Cool.
And every shed, I think I shared a picture a while back. Every shed, oh my god, dude! Honeys are so damn good.
Yeah,
and that's from that one male you have, that like just insane looking. I think it's just sun-kissed het caramel.
The Bam Bam.
You sent me a picture of him.
Okay. More than likely, probably him.
Yeah,
I was going through my holdbacks the other day. I was going to try to get a picture of everybody because out of, I think I held back like 41 from last year.
My man.
And like, what is it? 13 of them are all sun-kissed Miami sun-kissed stuff.
Like, you just posted some
like,
sun-kissed Miamis, and those things are killer. They're killer. And I know those are only going to get better looking because if they look that good,
they are getting better looking.
God.
I got a bunch of them still for sale and stuff, and it's like I'm looking at them. I'm like, you guys don't sell. I don't care.
You just posted some on Morph Market. They're beautiful.
What's the sort of the process? Because you periodically release stuff that you had planned as holdbacks. Like, is it as things shed and you're kind of seeing which direction they're going that you decide that it's something you want to move?
It's kind of like we were talking about earlier. It's just like, where am I going to put this at? Do I really, really need this one too?
Because every time I do holdbacks, and that's like one of those things where I think I said it last time too. Like I should hold back more than I do, but to me, a holdback is like something that I'm definitely stands out that I really, really want to see long term. Like hold on to, like planning to hold on to it basically forever. Like it's not going to go anywhere. And I try to get better about, if it stands out and it looks a little different, hold on to it for a couple months, whatever, see what happens. So I don't know. Like I see you post some of the holdbacks and stuff you release. It's just like, okay, if that's the stuff he's releasing, then the stuff he's holding on to must be really nice.
A little bit better. Yeah. I know I tried, I got this caramel stripe and there's something else that's going on with it. But
is that the one that you had at
perfect
Tinley?
Stripes. Yeah. I took it to Tinley and I marked it up. I'm like, if it sells, it sells. Because it's like,
so nice.
It's like, do I want to hang on to that and try to carry that on,
make more,
or just I don't have time and room, so out you go.
I'm with you. Like I try to hold back extra, right? Like I hold back a couple things that are interesting. I think I did kind of mess up a little bit last year where I sent Justin like 21 snakes, and there's a couple in there where I was like,
I forgive you.
I might have cut a couple of those. Some of those that like I have that Ultramel, the Snowtramel, red factor boy that I've held on to that y'all have kind of seen progress pictures. He's like vanishing stripe. He's kind of turning this really weird purple looking snake, and they're going to go through that ontogenic change. Like it's going to happen, right? He's going to look different at different times. But I sent Justin a couple of the Ultramel Anery hypo stripes. And dude, some of those are looking.
Some of them are hets.
Yeah, some of them are the hets. But I sent you one. Oh my god, those are looking killer. And it's like, so yeah, dude. The holdback thing's weird because I sold some holdbacks this year at the Reptile at the last show I did because I sold a 2-year-old holdback male because I kind of started looking at it and I started like Eric's talking about looking at the collection, just being like, okay, you know what, you're kind of proving yourself redundant now, and then I also my first 2 years held back. Everything I held back was Tessera, which I love Tessera. But then I started doing the math, and I was like, okay, I only held back Tesseras my first 2 years. So I guess I've been 4 or 5 years of corn snakes. My first year I didn't hold back anything. I only had 1 or 2 clutches. Second year I held back only tesseras. Some of those are breeding now. And then that stripe boy, somewhere along the line, I don't know. The years are getting confused, but I held back a ton of tesseras. I kind of looked at it and I was like, holy shit, I'm only going to produce tesseras. Like, I already have tessera males. Now I've got more tessera females. So I need to hold back. This year I'm not holding back, I don't think, any tesseras unless something really catches my eye. Well, I do have a chance of producing a AML Motley tessera, which I will hold back. Now, I might not hold back a male of that, or I may hold back a male of that, but I have Ultramel Motley tesseras, which I really like that. It's kind of like I call them super stripes sometimes. It's not a real name, but they have that just perfect stripe. And I want an A male of that because I still love just A male corn snakes. They're great. So we'll kind of see there. But yeah, the holdback thing's so hard because
it's tough.
You can't keep them all, but you want to keep these to raise them up for a little bit, and then like I think this year I'm like, everything I produce, I just want to keep everything and give everything else away because I kind of don't want to deal with human beings anymore on a financial level. And so I gotta find somebody to sell my snakes for me. I'm just gonna send you more snakes this year. You and Horvath are just getting boxes of snakes this year. And
see, that's the problem. Is like corns. I will not say no to. If it was like someone was like, you want some more Jansen? I'd probably still take them, but those require so much more space.
Yeah.
But corns, I'm like, nah, I can work with that. I can make that work.
Fit a couple in there. We can cohab females, be all right. It's a tough math equation, and it's.
Well, that was something too that I asked in the group chat, 2 weeks ago or so. Was like, if you're focusing on a particular project, be it line breeding or a particular morph, sort of the example being the Ladies Island stuff, and then like the Castagna stuff. Like, how many should you hold back if you're trying to see something through long term? Like, what's the ideal sort of ratio? Like, normally I try to hold on to like a pair, but then
I always go 2.3.
I don't know if that's really
2.2.
Yeah,
is good,
that's why I'm wondering if 2.2 is better, just because the odds of something being missexed or whatever. I don't know. It's just like it sounds great and all, and then you realize like that's this many more mouths to feed long term.
Yeah.
But I remember Royland saying he used to hold back 8.8.
8.8?
Yeah. I remember he said that.
Jesus,
like, oh my gosh, dude.
It's like a whole clutch.
Yeah.
If but also with holdbacks, if my Baja Gophers do go this year, I'm probably going to keep most, if not all of them. Maybe, Eric, you want one. I know you've got some already. But it's
got one.
Yeah. And so like, I'll, if you need a male, maybe I'll get you a male. You need a female, I'll get you a female. But it's
female.
Like, it's so hard. And they have small clutches, right? They have clutches of like 4 to 6 eggs. So it's like, oh, well, I kind of want to keep them all because what if something happens to the 2 I have?
Right.
They're just never available.
Right.
My reverse stripe Milomorum goes to that albino female. If that happens, right? If I get eggs, fingers crossed. I don't think I'm getting rid of any of them, right? Like maybe if I get a couple poopers that come out that really don't show that the expression of, but they all carry those genetics, right? They all have that reverse stripe genetics. They all have the A male. They'll obviously all be head A male. And it's like, if I get a handful of eggs out of them, I don't. So, it's those projects that you've been raising up, you've been buying animals for those projects. And it sucks. Like with that particular group, I don't think John's producing anymore of the reverse stripe Milomorum. Mm-hmm. So they literally don't exist with the exception of a handful of people that have them. AML Emery do pop up. And I actually have redundant females. I have a het AML female, and I have a AML chocolate female. So I have redundant females, but I don't have any more reverse stripe males, right? They just, and they're not going to be made anymore. So everything, I have to be conscious of that if I ever want to see that come to fruition. Whereas, maybe, I've got my really pretty Northern Pines. They're some of my favorite snakes. I'm not keeping any of them. Right. I know that my pair is special. I know that I could lose one of those animals any day. It could happen right now. I could go in my room right now and one or both could be dead. This is a thing that happens. But I could replace them if I really wanted to. And I don't know if I'd ever get any more. Talk about a 6-7 foot snake that I actually literally, while painting in my room yesterday, watched one shit so much it shit out the vents of the tub onto the floor. It was spectacular. It was amazing, right? But I don't need another pair of those. I can enjoy those snakes for the rest of their lives. They'll never go anywhere. But Jan, I've held a pair back every year because I want to focus in on that stripe project that I have. Where's a bunch of stripes? I don't fucking know. I don't like stripes. I'm not Billy Hunt. But I produced that striped Janai. And then last year I produced a male that was kind of striped. And now I'm just like, well, anything that comes out that even looks like this, I'm just going to keep on in this group. And I've bought many more Janai. Janai. So yeah, Justin, I think it's a great question, but it's a hard answer. And I think Eric's answer is good too. And I think my answer is probably a little bit similar. How important is that project and how much are you working towards on that project kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And what initially got me thinking about the whole thing was Mutton was on NPR not that long ago, talking about line breeding and projects and things like that. And he holds back a lot. I think pretty much as what's feasible.
Yeah.
With however many in a clutch you're given, what actually goes and hatches and goes the distance and stuff. And, I think he mentioned something along the lines of how can you sort of really pursue a line if you're not holding on enough animals to kind of see what the spread is, you know? And so that's like with the Ladies Island stuff in particular, this is sort of what I have in mind in terms of what I'm thinking. Cause I'm not doing any locality stuff this year, like pure locality stuff, but I am planning next year to pair a male back to the female. And so then that's kind of the question of like, do I hold on to half? And I mean, we're talking about holdbacks in over a year from now, it's kind of ridiculous.
Still got to breed them and all that. Yeah.
Really right. But I don't know. Cause even with the Castagna stuff, like with the Castagna Motley to that Ladies Island female, seeing sort of what comes from that down the line in the next, in 2 generations or whatever, it's like, do I hold on to a bunch of them? Do I hold on to just sort of the standouts? I don't know. It's not like the Diones where it was like all the babies kind of look like clones. Like there's not really anything other than a Diones happening. If that makes sense.
No, that's like my Northern Pines, right? Like you're making more of the same. It's sad. I fucking hate saying this, and excuse me to the people that are going to maybe offended by this. It's a replaceable animal, right? This is something that doesn't not exist in the hobby. They're a bit rarer. They're a bit less common, definitely in the Northern Pines. But it's like if I want to continue, what is the project, right? Like,
right. It's not carrying anything in particular that you're trying to build upon.
Yeah, you're not getting rid of the animals. You enjoy the hell out of them. You love them. But it's also, black pines. I didn't breed black pines this year. I didn't even brumate them. Female was a little small, but even then, it's kind of like, also don't need to breed them, right? I did that last year. They're demons. I love it.
You just don't see variation like you do in other stuff.
Yeah, and on those, I went out of my way to get the 2 best looking, absolute blackest animals I could find. So I'm not like breeding for better black, right? I'm not. Mm-hmm. I am not going to refine that anymore. Not getting rid of the animals. I love them. But there's nothing 2, 3, 4, 5,
it's kind of like palmettos.
Yeah.
Like how much whiter can you get it?
Well, that's actually a good question, Justin. How much? I mean,
leucistics.
Yeah. Well,
how much whiter can you get it?
My leucistic pine snakes. I cannot wait to breed them next year. If they go, they'll be at that 4-year mark. I can't wait to produce them. I don't think I'm holding any back. I don't even know that they're breeding. I won't even say that they are, but that doesn't mean that 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years down the road, I'll breed them and be like, you know what? It's time to hold a male back. It's time to hold a female back, and I'll outcross this. I'll find another animal to pair this animal to, so I know that I'm also retaining the genetics in my collection.
And maybe I've been looking at it from the wrong angle in terms of how I've done it now, where I've held back at least a pair, because that was pretty much entirely for the sake of like having more animals to rely on in case anything happens.
Yeah.
To what is currently there.
Yeah.
Like obviously wanting to have things to be able to tie in and keep it going later, but not holding back a ton of stuff, but basically saying like, okay, I have a male and a female. These are sort of backups more or less in case something happens.
Yeah. And it's not a bad idea to have backups. That's another thing. It's when does a holdback not become part of a project, but more of a backup to what you've already got. And I've got a couple things that I've held back just because I'm like, all right, well, if I ever lose the male or a female, now I have another one, whether I breed them or not. It's also like, let's define the project. What is the end goal? And we know that we're all patient, right? We have to be patient in this hobby. It's ingrained in what we do, which is one thing new people kind of don't realize. But what defined the project? Last year, we did something.
That's the issue. Like with the Ladies Island stuff, I don't know what's going to happen when I pair back.
And that's
no idea. Like completely flying blind on the whole thing. Like
those
don't know
F1s
what's
going
happening,
back to each other. That's badass.
Might get a big surprise.
One thing I'm really excited about that me and Justin did last year was the Ghost Tester Girl to the Ladies Island Wild Caught Board.
Dude, the holdbacks I have from that are just getting better and better.
That girl I got, amazing. That is such a badass snake. Every time I look at her, every time she sheds, I'm just like, holy shit.
Those like those darker tones are just getting this nice burgundy, like garnet maroon, just really nice deep dark red.
And the thing I'm the most excited about isn't carrying on the anery or hypogenes. It's taking that tessera back to the F1 male you sent me. Let's make a whole clutch of these things, right? Then let's start defining what we're going to do with them. And that's going to be cool. That's where you really start seeing neat stuff. And man, I kind of want to try to get buff, or maybe like a red coat or something in there, or red factor, excuse me. And let's start adding in some more things we can see in that first generation. And let's see what happens. So, Sunkissed. Oh, Justin, Sunkissed, right? Am I right? So Eric, we're talking about a bunch of things. We're looking at. What are some projects you're just super excited about this year? Some pairs you're excited about?
I got a ton of Castani stuff.
Yes.
Coming and going, and it's just. I think I'm gonna have like about 40 some odd Castani to hold back this coming year.
Which is funny because when I asked you about them, I think towards the end of last year, you were like, "Yeah, I don't plan on doing much with Castagna." I think you had like maybe a male to something else that wasn't Castagna, like a bunch of hets. I think were sort of in the original plan,
right?
And
I've been making a bunch of hets. That's what everything's going to be this year, for the most part.
I'm really amazed that Mandarin isn't more popular.
Oh, I know. I mean, just for a 2-gene animal, they're awesome.
They're straight up one of the best 2-gene. Like, because mandarins and honeys are like, you know what I mean? Like, what's.
And I really want to do the Castani stuff because there's nothing out there. I've seen Castani Sunkissed, Castani Caramels. It's like, so I got Castani going to Cinder Lava. Gotta get my book out here. Figure out everything I got down. But thanks, bud.
Castani Lavas. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that.
I haven't seen Lavas. I haven't seen a lot of anything really. But I'm pairing up that pair that made that Vanishing Stripe. Doing that one again and see what the heck comes out of that this year too.
Hopefully more. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Hopefully more because everybody wants one of those things.
Yeah. Which is so. And now I have to say it's kind of funny because it's like just a gray snake, right? Like,
right.
You would think this would be the one thing everybody's like, that's kind of boring, but it's so different that it's exciting. It's cool. It's a cool snake.
Yeah. And I've got a female Cinder vanishing stripe too. Looks almost identical, but it's lighter, lighter gray.
Mm-hmm.
Cinder's neat. I think there's also Cinder's been around for a long time. I think there's a little bit of work we can do with Cinder plugging into some things that will make some cool animals.
Let me see here. I brought my book with me, so I make sure stay on the up and up. But yeah, I got a lot of stuff going to Castani this year just to see what happens.
Yeah, you posted some of the pairings and stuff on Facebook, man. There was a couple that I was like just drooling over.
Yeah. I didn't bring my... Hopefully all my girls will be able to go double clutch. That will help out tremendously. But if not, we'll just start again next year.
Yeah, that patience thing. Dude, the mandarins. I'm stuck on thinking about mandarins right now. Okay, so what happens when you take a mandarin and put Cinder in it, or not even the heads?
Castani peppermints.
Yeah. What does that even do? Did you just get a more white snake, right? That's kind of where
I know.
We got to be a little conscious of that when we're looking at some of these combos, because it's like, are we just making more bass bait? Which we can, right? You get a few combos and it's like, that's kind of comes out as like a white snake with red eyes, and that's cool. It's a badass snake. Some of your blizzard stuff's already out there, and some of your snow combos kind of do that. But where does the what does the Castania Cinder do? What does a Mandarin Cinder do?
Right.
I don't know if it's been seen. I'm sure it's out there, right? These genes have been around for a while, but that's a cool one to work for. And then start throwing in pattern mutations, whether it's Motley, Strike, throw in some Tessera. I know you don't work too much on the Tessera.
I got some Tessera, but
it's for me. I love Tessera. I love Tessera, but
I was one of those that started off loving it.
Yeah,
and then
I can understand why people wouldn't after a point, like, because it's very easy to overdo it and it take over everything,
It's not like red. Like if we look at the other genes in that same kind of realm, it's not like buff. It's not like red factor. It's so defining to the animal once you put Tessera in, and like certain things you just can't see with Tessera. But it kind of, and I'm not talking down about it. I have a lot of Tessera. I love my Tesseras, right? Like I love them. But it's if you produce a lot of Tesseras and then start pairing your Tesseras back, you produce a lot more Tesseras. And so, like this year, I'm going to produce a lot of Tessera just because that's the males I have. That's the males I started with. That's the males I've held back. So yeah, it's kind of a. God, I love Tessera and Motley though. I love Tessera and Strike. I love what those things do together. When you start comboing those the pattern mutations, I think that's just badass.
Tessera's like soy sauce. A little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think a couple years ago, I ended up with 50 A-male Tesseras. And I think that's what did it for me. I was like,
yeah,
dang, I couldn't give them things away,
Yeah.
And I love Tessera. Like I don't have any. I think it's awesome, but I can totally understand why, JT and other guys are kind of like, I want very limited amounts of it or none of it at all, because it just once it's there, you can't put that genie back in the bottle. It's it's there. It's there.
It took me 3 years to produce a pewter, which just fucking freaked me out. But I also produced 2 Tessera pewters last year, which, God, what a damn good looking animal. And that's, I love pewter. I again, a 2 gene animal that's just such an easy thing to find, make. They're not super expensive, and God, they look good. They're I'm saying this while I'm making a whole bunch this year, but and I think Tessera pewters are they're great.
So that's kind of the plan I want to do with that sun-kissed anery. I want to get diffused blood red into that.
Oof.
Just picture that.
Yeah.
Silver snake with white sides down this. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a sun-kissed anery that I did not like.
They're so badass.
I don't think it exists. Like, they're all just smoking.
The sun-kissed snows you got, Eric,
Them things, and they just keep getting better and better.
Yeah,
I
every time I see that you still have some available, I'm like, is now the time? Do I do these?
I think I'm done. I think I'm done with all of them because I told myself I was like, there was 2 males I was looking at, and I'm like, whoever doesn't sell, I'm probably going to hang on to.
Yeah,
so I hung on to a female, and yeah, but they got that red factor in there too. So I mean, these things are just getting
crazy looking
pinker as time goes by.
I love how
what does the red factor do with snow? Like, what is it?
This makes it more pink.
That's how you get your salmon snows, like your old
salmon
school
snows, the coral snows, all that stuff. Yeah,
and then the sun-kissed and the red factor almost contrast each other, where you get kind of the pattern diffusing, you get the crazy yellow that kind of comes in inherently with the sun-kissed, and then you still have a pink snake.
You got that's what's so badass about those things, because they're pink and they got this ton of yellow coming through too. Just like, dang.
Yeah, and it's funny. I'm working with this like yellow neckline. I call it a line. It's not a line, but these animals that I'm like working on making more of.
Yeah, I've seen that one you showed pictures of. Yeah,
and it's so funny that those animals are still not going to look as good as the sun-kissed version of them, because I see adults that are sun-kissed and I'm like, my shit doesn't look like that. Mine are definitely not sun-kissed. They're not het sun-kissed. And it's kind of funny that I'm like, I'm kind of like line breeding for a look that is already available that's actually better. And so what do? We make these ideas in our mind and we push through to make them happen. And it's but Justin, you have one of those kind of yellow head things, and I don't know.
Dude, I am so excited to.
It's a weird looking.
Wait, you're talking which one? Are you talking about, that Anery?
Yeah, that Anery.
Yeah,
he's from that same.
I cannot wait to see what we end up doing with that man.
That was the last time I did that pair, so I did that pair again this year, which is just like the most unassuming looking snakes. Like if you looked at the dad and you looked at the mom, you'd be like, they don't. But the babies don't look like that. And they don't get it until like a year comes on, but then they just look. I don't know. There's something missing in there, and I don't know if it's buff. And some of my stock came from SMR stuff from years ago, and I know Don worked a lot with buff, and I don't know if that's what's going on. That's a buff animal, because only some of them get it, but you don't see it as babies. And I know that a buff almost said Anery. We've been corrected. It's Anery. I don't know if the buff Aneries look like that as babies. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what I'm looking for. So sure it exists. But I
don't know. I feel like buff's another one kind of like Castagna, where it didn't really kind of got glossed over.
Yeah. And Eric, do you work with any buff stuff?
No.
Other than yourself, love the fitness, love the pictures. Let's go. But buff is a weird one. And
I had a buff from Don a while back. It was a buff Okati RO, and it was just like, nah, I don't want. It's one of those things. I got way too much. I don't want to dive into one more thing.
Isn't it so weird that we find these little micro collections within our collections? And it's like you start adding stuff, and you're like, maybe not. Like I got that reverse Okati girl, and I'm like really excited to see what she produces this year. But I had this kind of really high red. I think he may be a red factor Tessera that I had held back, and I'm kind of looking at him and I'm like, man, I kind of don't want to pair you to this girl, because I'm really excited to put Ultramel into that, and I love what Ultramel does with reverse Okatis, and that whole kind of genre. God, you see these, Glenn Brooks post animals sometimes that are just insane.
Yeah.
And it's like
burn your corneas if you don't you look at them too long. It's like staring at the sun.
You know who's got some really killer reverse Okati Ultramel stuff is Ken Deal. Works with a lot of that stuff. And our buddy Matthew Morris actually works with a lot of Okati lineage stuff. He's got some Red Zepp and Hoven Texas shows. I don't think he ever posted them online. I need to bug him about that. But he's produced some insane reverse Okati ultramels. God, what an animal! My problem that I've kind of come across with ultramel is like making more without also having AML in the books, right? If I'm pairing an ultramel to something, like let's say I want to make, I'd really like to make some ultramel diffused. So I have a pied blood red girl het charcoal, and I have this ultramel motley tessera male, and I pair them together. I'm going to get some tesseras and some classics. My problem is now how do I make an ultramel out of that? Because
you got to hold them all back.
Yeah, and then you've got to bring them all together, and then you're going to have ultras, which kind of don't really register, and then you're going to have some, you know what I mean, some AMLs, and then somewhere in there you have a very, very small chance of making an ultramel, regardless of how ultramel's tough to kind of make from scratch, right? From hets. That was, finding out that my Stripe Boy was het ultra, right? Which is kind of damning, right? Like I wish he was het AML because I could take a het AML and put it to an ultramel and I could get ultramels and AMLs, but taking a het ultra to anything, I'm either going to get ultras or I'm going to get without AML, or I'm going to get ultramels. And it's kind of a little bit of a conundrum. That's a weird combination in gene to work with, or gene combination, I guess is the right way to call it. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of went on a tangent on that, but
I let everybody else work with ultramels.
Do you not have any ultramel?
I've got some gold dust stuff, so I always end up with a little handful here and there.
Yeah,
and I've got I do have that ultramel anery.
Oh yeah.
I make some snows and stuff from her, but I don't go all out. It's
that kind of dip into one little thing I wanted to talk about tonight, on the idea of hybrids, and where their place is in kind of the corn snake hobby. Ultramel's a great place to start, right? We know that ultramel is a hybrid. I mean, we know ultramel's a hybrid. I think it's so ingrained in the hobby that we don't really think about it. These are hobby grade animals, right? These are things that are not going to be released back into the wild. We're not looking at locality. We're not making locality ultramels. Now, when we say Okati ultramels or Miami ultramels, we're talking about the phenotype, not the locality. And people have to be understanding of that, right? Like we can't make a red Zep ultramel, right? Like that inherently, it's a deleterious thing, right? We cannot have a true Okati animal. We cannot have a true locality animal show the ultramel phenotype. So, Eric, where do you kind of fall on the spectrum of the hybrids in the hobby?
Well, I've got scaleless, so
yeah.
And according to the state of Illinois, that's a native snake.
That's.
But you got with like emery and stuff, you got to look back way back when they just thought emery was just a northern version. As far as hybrids and stuff like that, I look at it like I'm not into the corn kings, stuff like that. I just like
cross
whatever,
right? No,
if you like it, that's fine. As far as hybrids and stuff, if they do it in the wild, I'm good.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it.
For a long time, people were like, "Well, why are we worried about crossing emery and Gutatis?" That's what they thought Slowinski were, right? That was the integrate zone,
right?
I still think it is, right?
They say, I think so too.
Well, they say Gutatis don't cross the Mississippi River. I don't think
snakes don't swim.
They're not supposed to be in Hawaii either.
We could probably back it up and say the whole Gutatis complex from Inner Montana to Emery to Milamorum to Slowinski to Gutatis to what was Rosalie at one point, I think.
Right.
These are all kind of just the same animal. But then why are we conflicted? Right? Why is there that kind of general, right? It's tough.
I can't put my finger on it because like there is no reason to be conflicted on it because yes, it's just snakes in boxes.
Exactly.
Yeah, ultra males look cool. Ultras look cool. But for some reason, my brain just won't let me accept it for what it is.
But if I take a
I think-
Biak to a Waimea,
That's different.
how?
Don't you dare bring chondros into this.
But if I have
Not what we're talking about. We're talking about corns.
but if I have a jungle jag axanthic, why is that different? Or a
That
diamond
isn't.
cross?
That's the same.
Oh, they got relumped, unlumped.
I don't know.
I have a carpet python. I have a
Chondros.
I don't know the difference.
That's their special case. Okay.
No,
But
they're
like,
not.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, if I wanted Emery I'd get Emery. If I wanted a corn, I'd get a corn. I like the Ultramel stuff that I have from you, and I plan on holding on to some of it. But I'm sort of with Eric on it, where it's like I don't want to get too involved with it, just because of the fact that to me it's like it is what it is. I don't know. Like I'm a purist, but I'm not like a hardcore purist in that sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with like the localities, like mixing localities and Bairds for me. Like that took me a while to kind of like come to terms with, I guess, where it's like the Alterna too. Perfect example. It was like, these are just generic Alterna. No one's going to want them. Lo and behold, those sold faster than any other Alterna I had. Like people just wanted an Alterna. So I'm like, okay. So my idea that there's people out there that are going to find me and hang me because I mixed localities, that faded. And then it's just, I don't know, man. It kills me because it's like, I love corn snakes. Maybe it's because I'm not crazy about Emery.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because it's just not, they do really not much for me. Like I understand how closely related they are and stuff, but to me, I'm just like, they're brown. They're snake.
Well, that wraps up this episode of CornStars, guys. I appreciate it.
Kind of just, I don't know, just knowing that the Ultramels, like that's in the mix.
Yeah.
But then I also question, it's like with all the breeding that's been done, it's like how much Emery is really left,
right,
in that.
Well, we know with scaleless, it's only a couple generations, right? In fact, you can't find a scaleless Emery. They don't exist.
I'm still trying to work on that with Zach Loafman.
Okay.
Really?
I got a ton of sheds. So we met up at October Tinley.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I know he's busy and stuff, but I'm like, hey, you want to do some DNA tests on some sheds?
Yeah.
Because like you said, Chris, there isn't a scaleless Emery anywhere. Scaleless Texas rats everywhere.
Yeah. And we know from Don that the original scaleless animal that was found was Emery, and he never even bred scaleless Emery. He paired them straight to corn snakes because he's like, oh man, this is and good for him. It worked, right? Like he created a genre in this. He created a micro genre within a genre and within a genre. Like we got our Calubra guys, then we have our corn snake guys, and then now we have our people that only want to work with scaleless. And it's me personally in my collection, I have reverse stripe Milomorum. I'm pairing those to albino Emery, but literally a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, they were the same species. So is taxonomy just fake and we're overreacting, or is taxonomy more important than we're realizing and we're underreacting? We're not doing enough.
Taxonomy's fake.
So,
well, it changes all the time. That's what Loafman even said that. He's like,
doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, really, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's almost as common as saying a common name. It's like,
don't get attached. It's just going to change next
back
week.
And forth all the time. It's like, man.
So what you're saying is take my reverse stripe Milomorum and put it into corn snakes, and we'll have a complete line of reverse stripe corn snakes for the first time ever, right? All right, y'all heard it here first.
I think maybe part of the problem too is sort of the not knowing how true the stories are of where these things came from, like the whole Tesla coming from king snakes thing. It's like you hear people say that's what happened, you hear people say that's not what happened, and so it's like, do I just believe what I want to believe? Like I don't know. Like I don't have concrete evidence that it's one way or the other, and so I it's in question to me. I mean, I think
I've seen
Tessera
3,
is-
4, 5 generations of corn snake, king snake hybrids, right? Jungle corns. They are exceptional looking animals. You want to see some cool jungle corns? Get on the European morph market. If anybody just wants to see really good examples, and holy crap, you will see some jungle corns that are just shockingly beautiful. I mean, these are insane looking animals that if we, how in the hell did you ever get a Tessera that looked like a corn snake? Right. I still to this day, there's no way that Tessera came from king snake just because there's a similar gene. And the Newport gene doesn't act like that. If you take the Newport gene and you put it to take a Newport gene animal and pair it to a banded animal, you don't get half bandeds and half Newports. You get mostly Newports, and they are a plethora of different patterns that are on that Newport animal. Whereas if I take a Tessera to a wild caught corn snake, which we did last year, I didn't do it, Justin did it. We got half straight up striped animals. Now there was some interesting diffusing in those patterns, but they are quintessential Tesseras. They look like Tesseras. There's no question if they look like Tesseras or not. They don't. You don't get what the Newport gene does. Also, every Newport gene animal has a solid striped tail with a chocolate ring right around the cloaca. Cloaca. I don't know.
Cloaclia.
Cloaclia. Every single one has the same tail pattern. That's how you tell it's a Newport gene and not just like a scissors crossing stripe. So, and I might be tangenting here, but like first, there's no king snake there. There's none. There's just none. And then Joe Phelan, a year ago, sent me pictures of his Tessera's breeding, and he's got males that are biting the necks of the females and have faces that look like king snakes breeding, and they're not breeding for 10 seconds like corn snakes do. They're breeding for hours and hours and hours. And I stop and I go, holy shit, I'm wrong about everything. So nice rant on that, but and then that's also the other thing. Let's say we take an Emery, something like one of these reverse stripe or some of the very really neat odd looking aberrant.
I like how you're saying all this hypothetically, like you're not actually going to go do it.
I mean, who says I haven't already done it? What happens when you take a reverse stripe and pair a genetic reverse stripe, which is a line bred trait, right? Like we've taken them, we've paired them to wild caught snakes, and we know what it does. The first generation, we'll start seeing aberrancies, and some will kind of look like it, and it'll vary. And we put it to Tessera. So now we have a reverse stripe and a dominant stripe. What's going on? What's happening? What happens, Justin? You tell me.
You get not corn snakes.
But are we in the hobby grade animals that we're looking at? Are we already at non-corn snakes?
Ignorance is bliss.
Right? Isn't it weird? Where are you at on it, Eric?
If you like them, you like them. I don't have to like them.
Yeah.
I just want my corn snakes to be corn snakes.
Right.
I don't know what it is. Like I said, I can't put my finger on it. That's all I want.
I'm kind of in that boat there too. It's like I'm cool with the scaleless stuff. I'm cool with the ultramel stuff.
Yeah.
The king corns, jungle corns. I was like, yeah, they're cool looking.
Yeah.
But it's not for me.
Yeah. I don't have any plans to try to actually go off on these ideas in my own collection, right? Like this isn't something I'm joking around. Not joking. I'm just pointing fun at it. But it's like, are these possibilities still there to keep them within the same genus, kind of within the same subspecies, kind of looking at thing, and expand on the hobby, or is it going to be deleterious to the hobby? Is it a? And I don't know if there's a good answer for it.
The way I think too now is like, all right, well, screw it. I'll try it. I'll take just to do it, find out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like my Newport Cal King and throw it to one of my corns. See what happens.
Yeah, there was, dude.
Now we're back to the hold back situation. What do I hold back?
And then when you hold them back and you breed them back together, what happens? Do you get some that are more Cal King, some that are more corn snake? Right? We're starting to really.
Right.
We're taking a million genes and a million genes, compounding them together and making a billion genes, right? I don't know if that's the right math. My degree in math is
I don't know if that's how that works, but
that's close enough.
Yeah, right. Like we're making a billion combinations.
P for plenty.
Yeah, like a million times a million is like 4, right? Like the answer is 4, but we're doing a weird thing. But then we get into these kind of cross situations where we had like the albino alternative that popped up last year, I think. And it's like we know that doesn't exist because the
It's
guy
not real.
the guy that made albino alterna sure as absolute fuck did not produce 6 albino alterna in the same clutch that some were also hypo, some were also leucistic, and this just popped up out of nowhere. And I'm not talking down about that guy, but I literally am. That didn't happen. And then like literal actual doctors of genetics came on and were like, that's not possible. If you're producing the world's first albino, you're not getting a whole clutch of them. You're going to get 1, maybe 2, right? And maybe if they continue to breed, you might get a couple, but you're not getting a literal clutch of them, or most
Not
of it.
right. Yeah, not right off the rip.
Yeah, that's not how albinism works. You look at the people that produced the first black diamond. Excuse me. They produced like 2, right? Like that math makes sense. Like you have multiple clutches. I think the female double clutch, and that's how they got 2, right? And it's like, well, yeah, there's 2 or there's 3, right? Like there's a couple, but it was like out of 32 eggs. Like, oh, okay, this looks like a new gene. The math feels right. You know what I mean? So
I've thought about, because I've seen some like Baird's Corns hybrids.
Oh, they're cool
on Morph Market, and I could do that. I just, from the angle I see it, I don't really see what the point is. I think it's kind of a waste of resources in terms of putting the female through that and everything, just to see what it looks like and see what happens, and then sort of the same concern that a lot of Morelia guys have and stuff with crosses is like them being put out into the ether, and who knows what's going to happen to them, because once they're out of your hands, and then I feel like you kind of get the same thing down the line. I guess if you make enough of these things and you put them out into the world, you get the same situation that you get with tesseras, where it's like, well, we heard it came from this, and it's like at some point it's not traceable anymore. Like there's no way to know exactly what's going on. I don't know. I just don't.
Yeah.
I've thought about putting a Baird's to a corn just to see, especially like the Loma Alta stuff, but I'm like, I just don't, because then it's like I feel like the people who are interested in buying those is fairly slim anyways, and then I'm going to be stuck with a bunch of hybrids that I don't really have any interest in actually sort of pursuing, and I don't see the point in putting in the effort when I can do that, take that same female corn or whatever and put her to something that I'm much more invested in and makes more sense.
And it also, like, where and how does it take off, right? Like, let's say we take a reverse stripe Emery Eye and we pair it to a corn snake. We get some really neat stuff out of the first generation. Maybe we breed them back. We spend 6, 8, 9 years. We make some really neat looking stuff. Okay, we're in the age of information, right? Information has never been easier and more accessible than it is now, right? So you would think this is going to kind of happen like the scaleless thing, right? Where the scaleless snakes blew up. They are amazing looking. Never going to say they're not. But we all know, it's kind of like the little asterisk on the baseball. Like we knew they were juicing, but we accepted it because this was a really cool thing. And it did a similar thing as the ball python craze. It brought people into the hobby. There are people that got into corn snakes because they saw a scaleless corn snake and literally could barely even function because their brain saw it and was like, wow, this is an amazing animal. It's a healthy animal. We know they live long lives. We know they produce perfect eggs. They have perfect sheds. These are healthy little penis snakes. And that happens because it took off, right? It works because it was popularized. It was a recessive trait. What happens when we start doing it and it doesn't take off? We make 16 animals a year. Next year, we make 32. The next year, oh, God, maybe I made 64. We compound that. We have hundreds. And it doesn't take off. What do? You're putting your animals down? No, you're selling them. You're handing them out at shows. You're wholesaling them. Now we're putting genetics. We're diluting the flow of water. And so there's a responsibility there. And it's crisscross applesauce, right? Like, what do you where do we decide as breeders? Because we're breeders. We're not just keepers. We're breeders. Where do we draw that line?
See, that's like with me. Like this year, it finally dawned on me. I was talking about it in the beginning with those cockeye that I have. My male, I think, is just a dud.
He's a pooper, yeah.
But I was like, this year, I was like, hey, you know what? I could take like one of my Laticinctus or my Poultures and go to those cockeye girls to find out. I won't.
Matt Moster will show up at your house.
Oh, I know.
You'll hear. They'll actually.
He
like,
will find
up.
you.
You'll be taking a picture of him locking up, and you're just like, do.
Yeah, but I won't. I won't.
Yeah.
Because even if I do sell them, I hear people saying all the time, well, just market them as such. Don't lie to people. Tell them it's a hybrid, it's this or that. Yeah. All right, that person gets it. Is he going to do the same thing?
Nope.
Like you said, then that stuff gets out there, and I don't know what it is.
You're just once it's out of your control, there's like you can't get angry because people decided not to stick with something and move on. It's like once the moment you've relinquished your grasp on something like that and you've put it out there, whatever happens. Like you don't have control over that. You can tell people all day long, like make sure the documentation stays with these people, but it's not that immediate person that you sell it to that you're worried about. It's the 2 or 3 other people that end up with that snake down the line,
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah, exactly. We see something similar with lychees, kind of the opposite.
Oh, yeah.
I take my non-locale specific animals, pair them up, breed them, make babies, sell it at a show for $500, right? Little Timmy takes that animal, has it for a couple years, decides to get into more animals. Boom, now he's into ball pythons. And he says, hey, you know what? Snakes are a lot easier. Or maybe he's into corn snakes. Actually, you know what? He got into Pituophis. He's a Pituophis guy now. And he says, snakes are a lot easier. And he says, I'm going to sell this lychee. He gets on, he goes on Morph Market. He's like, all right, well, non-locale specific lychees are $400 or $500. All right, well, a pure Nuana is $1,600. Okay. A GT Cross is $2,000. Huh. Okay, well, mine's pretty big. I'm going to call it a G. You know what? This is a GT Type C or something. You know what I mean? And he puts it out there and sells it. Just I bought this from. I produced some pure Nuanas a couple years ago. I bought this from Badlands Herpetoculture. This is a pure Nuana. It's $1,600. And then somebody says, hey, I bought this gecko from somebody. They said they got it from you. It's a pure Nuana, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I produced a handful. I produced 8 of those in 2019. And yeah, that's it's probably an animal for me. Okay, now my name's on that animal, right? That person sold it crossed as a lie, but who cares? Because they pocketed a lot bigger than what they had invested, with the regard of time and all that, of course. So what do we? Where's the backup on that, right? Again, a tough thing. Tony Dongara goes to a show, sells a red Zep, right? What an animal, $200-$300 snake. Again, little Timmy buys it, decides he's a ball python guy, sells it, or he takes that snake and breeds it to an Okatee anery, right? Gets a whole bunch of Okatees and says, hey, these are all red Zep Okatees, head AML. Doesn't say anything about the anery because, he whatever. And now people buy them and say, okay, yeah, but these came from Tony Dongara. There's no way. And then they produce an anery. And they go, wait, oh my God. Oh my gosh, I just produced a random anery. Now there's this kind of dilution in there, and there's the trust in the hobby. And I don't know, we kind of rabbit holing a little bit, but yeah, there's where do we draw these lines, right? Anyways, I think we've rabbit holed pretty hard.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I think it's something we need to be honest about what we're doing. But there's also a level, you're not being dishonest if you thought you were right. You know what I mean? I was honest at the time, but I guess
there's genuine mistakes.
And these genuine mistakes can happen with hybrids. They can happen with lineages. They can happen with a lot of things. They can happen from nefarious situations where somebody buys something thinking that it was genuine. And I don't think we can do better than what we're doing now, right? I don't think it gets better than this. I just don't. Anyways, there's one other thing I was going to kind of pipe on with that. As far as lineage, Eric, is there anything you're doing either within your collection preserving lineages or when you're selling things to preserve lineages?
I really don't have anything that fall into a lineage, really. I mean, Well, I mean, I've got like my namesake snakes, like Bam Bam and stuff. I'm trying to, I guess I guess we'll go that route with it. With that and seeing what happens with those animals. And I had another one, Miss Benny, too. I still have some more animals from her. She's like banded all the way down, real thick band and stuff like that. And I'd try to work that stuff in there, but
it's I hope we see more of that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I got these snakes from this person here. You know, the continuation. I think JT's done a really good job with that.
Right.
I think you with Bam Bam, like, you know, that snake I have from you, from him, just will forever be that. He's a killer, right? He's awesome. I plan to outcross him to some stuff and see what happens. Justin, I know you've got some lineage animals, but also with like locality, right? Like, Justin, you're doing a lot of the Ladies Island stuff. I've kind of dipped a little bit into it. That's going to be really neat as that kind of pontificates into the hobby, as it proliferates. Excuse me, not pontificate, proliferates into the hobby. I think it's going to be a neat thing.
Agreed.
I kind of had one more thing that I wanted to, because I know our time's kind of getting close to limited. What were, Eric, if you kind of reflected last year and what that turned into your plans for this year, your best sellers, right? You're doing this full time.
Yep.
Hey, you mentioned snows last time.
Yeah, you talked about snows. Was there anything else now that the books are closed for 2022? We're in 2023.
It still snows.
Snows.
Yeah. I suppose blizzards would fall in there too.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have anything really to make blizzards yet. I got charcoal stuff, but haven't mixed that. I'm always getting hit up. You got blizzards? You got whatever's white. Whatever's white, that's what they want.
White snakes. And that's why I understand the popularity of palmettos, because like I see adult palmettos, I'm like, man, that's badass. But people bug me. I get more random messages about palmettos than I do about any other fucking morph. I'm just like, no, I don't work with them. That's just
weird. I want contrast. I want saturation. I want.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you too. It's just like I've joked about with a couple other guys too. It's like, all right, everyone's putting these palmettos and all these other morphs and stuff. And I'm like, all right, you're getting a white snake with a slightly different colored speckle on it.
Yeah.
Like, where are we going with this?
The caramel palmettos are badass.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's working with trying to get, way more speckling on it or reverse it and less speckling.
Yeah.
I can see going that route. And I'm not taking away. I've seen some of someone posted that caramel or that butter. There's one out there on the internet somewhere, that butter palmetto. Mm-hmm. That one looked bad. That was like, all right, that's cool. I got a palmetto and she's pretty.
It's a cool snake, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just the plain ones are awesome, I think. I mean, just the
fact that it exists. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's so funny to me that like Red Factor doesn't work on palmetto.
Yeah, I
feel like nothing works on palmetto.
Tessera does not work on palmetto, right? Like, and if it does, you can't tell, because I've seen people post or proven Tessera palmetto. So like, I have a proven Tessera palmetto. Here's a picture, and I'm like, yo, that is literally a palmetto, right? Like, it's they may carry the genetics for palmetto, but the way
stripe,
it's
a faint line right there.
There's no line. It freckles the same way. It's so weird. It's random patches of odd freckles. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I thought it was
in disbelief.
I thought it was going to end up like pied in ball pythons, where you can have like high expression and blue for high expression pied, right? Like 2 high expression pieds will produce more high expression pieds. It doesn't work with palmetto. You could take 2 low freckle pieds, I guess. I don't know, low spot pieds, and put them together, or palmettos, and you don't get a bunch more low spot palmettos.
Yeah,
it's not like you can't even line breed it. It's weird. It's so weird. It's odd.
That's what I was kind of getting to, but it's like I don't have time to do that either. It's like, how many do I have to hang on to?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Well,
and it'd be cool if you could.
And then now you're also probably doing palmetto to palmetto to make that happen, right? And then we all know there's a problem there. What happens if you do palmetto to palmetto? How many bug eyes do you get? How many of
the
these
eyes just explode? They can't bug out anymore.
And then now let's go another generation. Let's go another generation. Let's go another generation. Where where do we get to the point to where it's just like it ain't gonna happen, right? Like we're gonna have just two giant eyes and like a mouth.
Subox. We're gonna have Subox.
We're gonna have they're like super Subox. They're just
Those are the only bug-eyed ones I like. That's it.
Subox. Subox are cool. On one thing, I guess if you still have time, Eric.
Yeah, we're good.
Have you ever done any exporting or shipping?
I have not. I need to
Canada.
Canada, I did, but it was really easy because I just dropped them off at Tinley.
Okay.
It doesn't even count.
Yeah, Scales and Tails always come down to Tinley from up there, and they take a great big box back. I did ship stuff to the ham show a while back, but the buyer set all that up. I sent the stuff down to Mark Bell, Reptile Industries.
Yeah,
and they sent it over.
Yeah, I've had some animals go to
though.
Korea. Yeah, I've had some really crazy guards go to Korea, but it's like I ship them to Houston, and then I never hear back. I hear these were received in Houston. Thank you. They open them up. They send me pictures. That's it.
Right. I need to because I get hit up all the time from Indonesia, Korea.
Justin, why don't you tell us about your experience? Because I know you did it
cruise
shipment. I'm going to use Westmorland talking about it.
Sent a pair of Subox and a Baird's to our buddy Michael Gillen in Canada. He's in Vancouver. He's not far from Washington. But I had never shipped international before, if that truly counts. And so he helped. Like he basically was like, it's as long as they're not CITES animals. He's like, it's really straightforward. And I'd always assumed that no matter what you were shipping, it was going to be a lot of hoops to jump through. And so for that reason, I never really looked into it and always assumed it was just too much of a pain to deal with. But then Michael was like, I have Wild Rose Pass Subox, and I had mentioned to him that I had mine, but I didn't think I was going to hold on to him just because I didn't, I needed space for other stuff. And he's interested in Baird's. And so I ended up, he bought the 3 snakes a couple months ago. And then basically there's like 2 windows, I think, throughout the year to export to Canada. And so basically what they had me do was the shipping company in Canada, which is also called Reptiles Express. As far as I can tell, there's no relation to the Reptiles Express here in the States. They just happen to be called the same thing. They send you an email, basically say, fill out this invoice with these animals, these scientific names, USD value, and then they're going to a place in New York, like Lewiston, I think is what it's called. It's somewhere outside of Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. So then I shipped it to them. On the date they kind of tell you to ship it. Basically, they're like, you have to ship on Monday because once everything's here, it's going to Canada on like yesterday was the 12th. So it was like, you're going to ship the 10th. We're going to get it delivered to us the 11th. And then once everything's sort of accounted for, we're taking it over the border where customs, I guess, looks through it. And then someone in Canada takes it and ships it from there. So I shipped out those snakes Monday. Michael got them today. It's Thursday. And everything arrived fine, like no issues. What did kind of suck, and I guess what I wasn't used to, was like I shipped them to the folks in New York. And I got the confirmation from FedEx that they were delivered or picked up and everything. And I was, I emailed them, was like, does everything arrive okay? And basically the email I got back was, oh, we're only there until like 11 or noon. We don't open the boxes. Like we have the boxes. That's it. We don't know what's going on inside of them. So then I got a notification saying they were shipping from Ontario to Vancouver. And they gave you a tracking number there, just like you do with the U.S. stuff. And it got picked up or delivered to Michael. And then, as soon as I got that notification, just messaged him and said, everything make it okay. And he said, yeah, sent me pictures. And the whole thing was pretty painless. I did pack with heat because I was like, it's upstate New York and it's Canada, so it's probably cold. And the high in that part of New York was like 65 or something that day. And I was like, do I pack another heat pack like for them to open and use? Like I just without really knowing what exactly happens with this box once it's received at New York, and then just kind of knowing that the next notification I'm going to get is that it's been sent to the person who's getting it in Canada. It was kind of like, I mean, if these snakes die, like who's at fault? Like, I sent them out and they were alive. How do I know that they didn't die on way to New York? How do I know they didn't die on the, from the day that they were in New York until the day that they got put to go to Canada? Like, at what point in that process? So it's like, I didn't read their terms of service, and I'm curious. I need to go back and find it because I wonder what happens in that instance, because it's like, if they said, hey, your snakes are dead, I'd be like, you don't know it was me.
Do they offer insurance?
I ship to New York from Reptiles Express, like here in the US. And then once it goes to New York, it's handled, I think the buyer in Canada handles the shipping that gets taken from Ontario to wherever it's going.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
That's another thing that I don't really know exactly how it works. The whole thing is just, it's a little bizarre, but it worked out. I mean, everything went fine. It just, like I said, there's a lot of questions.
And there are 2 Reptiles Express.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Where you're in the bathroom is I don't think they're, as far as I know, they are not the same Reptiles Express. It is like Reptiles Express that is in Canada is its own
that's
thing.
Right.
And then the one
I kind of thought they were the same.
I thought so too.
Because I know Reptile Express, at least in the States, were like one of the first ones to offer Canadian export.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I thought that too, but then in the paperwork they send you to, like, basically the instructions and the invoice you fill out, they're like, you ship reptiles to you to ship to Canada because they claim that somehow they're better equipped to do it, and they give you like a discount code and stuff. And I'm like, Reptiles Express US wouldn't have that on their paperwork that I know of. I don't know. I need to text Mike and ask them about it, because from what I could tell, it seemed like they were 2 different things, 2 separate logos, but very similar color, like brand colors. It's strange, but I mean, it works. I did it. Just
somebody interviewed somebody from Reptiles Express one time. I can't remember.
It might have been us. We had Mike Hautzager, who owns Reptiles Express. That was years ago, though. That was a while ago.
Yeah, I just remember.
I'll have to call Mike tomorrow or ask him. See.
That's the guy I met at Daytona, right?
Yes.
He's cool as hell. He's awesome. His energy levels are
Reptiles Express is awesome.
Yeah, Reptiles Express.
You met both Mikes. I think you met like Mike H, who owns Reptiles Express and Premium Crickets and all that stuff, and then you met Mike Arnold, who's the British guy that second in command. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I did meet both.
Both are awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Great shipping company. A lot of great options out there, but that's the one I choose. I've been very happy with their services and their communication. Eric, how are the Lineaticalis doing?
I try not to even look at them.
Can't be disappointed if I don't watch them.
It's funny because where I've got them now, I got them in a big 4-foot AP cage, and they're together. They've been together since brumation. Back in November. I bring them out, and then underneath them I've got some 41 quarts. I'll split them up to feed them and stuff, and I throw them back up in there. But they're actually underneath my work table. So them guys look at my kneecaps when they're out and stuff. And then when I'm out of the room, they'll come out and look around and stuff. And I'll lick in there. I feel good about them this year. I think when I got them, these guys, this being my 3rd year that I had them. When I got them, they'd been moved around several times.
Yeah.
The story goes they came from Europe. So, I mean, I don't know. I got them from Chad Fowkes at Sewerfest, and he got them from somebody in St. Louis, and somebody in St. Louis got them. So I think they just took them that long to get used to first off being in one place, then used to me. They have calmed down just a tad.
Yeah,
Mine have.
that's a nervous snake. Yeah.
I see these pictures of some people have them. They got, they're holding them all up and around their necks and stuff. I'm like,
how does that work? Everybody that I know that's had them or has them is like, they are nasty. They hate you. They hate being around you.
And I think Jennifer Joseph said it the best too, man. Here, you got an 8-foot snake, and that thing will disappear in 2.3 seconds.
They're fast.
It's like, what? I got 3 of them in that cage, and I don't see them. I've got, 2 hide boxes and the big moist box in there and stuff for them too. But
it's a big animal. It's a big animal.
Oh yeah. I've seen them flirting around with one another. I haven't seen any locks with them though. But
any luck with your the small Pituophis? I forget the
Santa Cruz,
the Pumalus. There we go. Yeah.
Same deal. They're together. They've been together. They're going to be together. I just keep feeding them, and we'll see what happens.
It sounds a lot like my Baja Gophers. It's like, you know what? I got lucky enough to see locks this year. That doesn't mean they didn't lock last year.
Right.
They're not. My male did give me an awesome display the other day, and they're small. They're tiny, right? They're a little bit bigger around than a corn snake, but the same length.
Right.
And I've never heard a peep out of these things in 5 years of keeping them. And my male, I took him out of the female's tub and was, checking him out, going to take a picture of him, and he just popped up and did a big old Pituophis hiss, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It was deep, but I couldn't believe it. More than a Janai, sounded like a big bull snake, and I was like, oh, and I was like holding him. I was like, this is bad. I should have videotaped it, but you get
my big female did that once for me a while back. I spooked her or something, and she gave me a hiss, and that was the first time too. I was like,
it's loud.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know you guys had it in you.
Yeah, right. They're so kind of chill. They move, they wiggle. They're kind of like Janai, right? Like they're not a corn snake. They don't like wrap their tail around you and kind of give you that feeling. Janai are always kind of moving, right? Always kind of on the go. But this boy just got excited, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." Never been struck at, never been bit at, but maybe that just means he was in the mood. So that's what I've been doing with them. I pull them apart to feed them. I give them a day or so. I put them right back together, and I just go to bed and say my prayers to the Pituophis gods and hope it.
My cape, all I got left is a male right now. I gave my female away.
Yeah.
I got her as an adult, and when I got her, the guy I got her from didn't tell me that she had some kinks in her. She had some bulging vertebrae and stuff like that. And I was like, well, I'll hang on and see what it raise you up a little bit and see what happens. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to risk it.
No.
So then we had a friend of ours who had, she does like talks and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, $80 shipping. Cheers. All right.
They're cool, man. They're
yeah. My little boy, I love that dude. Even if I don't get another female, I'm hang on to him.
They're one of those snakes that I kind of once I got them, that was for me. It was a weird situation. I bought my Northern Pines from Thomas Davis, and I kind of just at the time was like really excited about getting more Pituophis. And I messaged him. I was like, you got anything else? What else is in there? He's like, oh, I have one pair of Baja Gophers that I produced this year, and all this. All like, oh, I literally don't know what it is. And I'm like, I googled it. And I was all, is it Bimaris or Vertebralis? He says, oh, they're Vertebralis. Like, oh, the red ones with the black tail. And I was like, I'll take those. And dude, I got them, and I just shocked at how small they were. These tiny little snakes. I was like, wait, what? And then I did a little bit more time. Do your research before you buy snakes. I did not, and I started like really looking into them. And I was like, holy shit, these are cool. And I tried to find out anything on braiding them, and it was like small clutches, cool brumations. Pair them like corn snakes. Oh, easy. And then, 5 years down the road, oh, man.
Psych.
Yeah. Now, if they do go, you will hear me from South Texas screaming with excitement. Even if I just get eggs. Just give me fertile eggs. They don't even have to make it to hatch. I understand that that's the goal. We lose eggs in incubation all the time.
Right.
Just give me fertile eggs. At least let me know that I did something right along the lines to get fertile eggs. That's going to be just unadulterated excitement.
Nerd.
That's why with the lime pines.
Yeah.
I got eggs last year. What I ended up with, I think 12. Then 6 slugs, and the other 6 dropped off during incubation.
Which isn't uncommon. I think I found that with Jani. Every year I lose a couple Jani eggs in brumation. Or, sorry, in incubation.
I'll say if you're broodmating them, you're doing it wrong, buddy.
if I'm losing snakes, specifically a couple of them during brumation, I probably messed up.
I'm keeping them at 50, and none of them are hatching.
They're snakes, not turtles.
Damn it! Oh yeah, that's weird. Turtles are weird.
Diapause.
But there's some drop off on eggs when we're incubating, kind of similar to other things on some of these very dry species. I'm interested to know if that's what happens with Stenocolis or Bogertrophis. You know what I mean?
With mine, I totally attribute to I didn't have enough airflow in there. I just grabbed just a regular box. Might have had one hole in it. I didn't think when I set them up.
Yeah, and, Alterna have that problem. Alterna, if they don't get enough airflow, specifically in the last 15 to 20 days of incubation, they'll all die in the egg. They'll straight up just all die in the egg.
Right.
And I've had that happen 2 years in a row. So now every snake, not corn snakes. I'm doing corn snakes the same way I've always done corn snakes because I've had, I think, 100% hatch rate. I don't know, maybe 98% hatch rate. Everything else, I put 4 holes in my incubation tubs, and I'd always done perlite, 50% of weight water-wise. And then I always sprinkle a little bit of perlite on top that I know is not wet, put the eggs on top, put the lid on. But at 45 the day, I keep all the holes covered. The whole time, or for the first 45 days. At 45 days, I pull those tabs off. This I got from John Lasseter with all of his Mexicana stuff, because you kind of have to do that. They have to crazy ventilation towards the end of incubation. And I did a lot better.
That oxygen, like the gas exchange, is happening a lot more because they're switching over from relying on the embryo and stuff to now like they need the air to start oxygenating blood and things like that.
Yeah,
probably a lot faster than corns, because corns I'll do that. I always got the date they're supposed to be hatching, and usually about a week before that I start pulling tape off the holes.
Yeah. That's exactly. I'm doing it 15 days before on
right.
species. Now what I'm doing is I'm doing the same perlite mixture, but I found on Amazon they sell. Everybody talks about these light diffusers. You get them at Home Depot or Lowe's and stuff. Well, they sell one that's a lot more concentrated. It's a lot smaller, and it's used for fish breeding. And they're like, it's like an aquarium supply plastic on Amazon. And if you Google fish
I bet
breeding,
they use it for coral and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But it's really small squares, but it's still about ½ inch thick. And so I'm cutting pieces of those and setting it on top of my perlite. And so it's not real thick. It's not really messing up my egg boxes because I use those food prep boxes for my eggs. It's funny. I'll pitch you up. I might have 2 eggs per box. I just separate them all. But I just, that size fits perfectly in my sea serpents incubator, and I love it. I like it. I can put a whole bunch of them in there. Whereas if I start putting bigger tubs, I overwhelm myself very quickly. But yeah, I'm doing the same thing with perlite, but I'm putting that layer on the whole thing. And I put some little plastic golf tees in there that I also got on Amazon to make sure nothing rolls around, because it's not the same. I can't really dig a little hole down in there, and I'm hoping that helps also with ventilation and ups the ante on hatch rate, at least for Mexicana stuff, the Leonis, the Alterna, and I'm going to do the same thing for the Bajas if they do go, and for Jani, because Jani every year I lose 2 or 3 eggs. Last year I think I got 12 eggs. I got 9 babies, so. We'll see. That girl, she's laying any minute. She's ready. So
I don't even know if mine's locked up. Haven't paid attention to them either. They're together.
Yeah.
My girl might be a little bit small, but we'll find out.
The first time my girl went, she was pretty small. In fact, the only reason they went was because I had them together when I was cleaning a tub out, and forgot about it. Straight up forgot about it. And then literally. It was through the winter, and I was like, I'm only feeding them every 2 weeks or so. It's whatever. And I sent a video to the old group chat, and I was like, look, I think the snake's grabbing. I think he's about to lay eggs. I gave her a nest box. She laid me 9 eggs or something. So this year I did brumate them. I did do it differently. And after brumation, they shed, and I did see locks. They were aggressive breeders. So that was pretty cool to see. Very different than what I did last year. So last year I just kept them together through brumation, which wasn't even a brumation because I was still feeding them, and I didn't cool them down. So I guess I didn't brumate them, but I kept them through the winter months together. And I actually, at this time already last year, I think I was hatching eggs. Maybe early May, something like that, because they would lay in like January, February. I guess they would lay. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, they would lay in February. I would hatch them in May. So doing it different this year. She's definitely gravid. They have a very apparent gravid, right? Like you can tell with all Pituophis, really. Yeah. Are there any other species you're shooting for this year? Maybe something new or a repeat?
This year, no. Next year, my Russians might be going. My Koreans might be going.
Yeah.
And then I'll have some more Japanese rat snakes up and ready.
Those are cool.
Yeah. I'm not going to double clutch my female this year. I had that issue with her. Ended up being, it was exactly what I thought it was. She just bled some and then had some sperm mixed in there, but I walked in just as it was happening.
It's really shocking looking,
yeah. When I first looked at it, I thought it was
when people said
I instantly went to the kitchen and started getting sugar water. I was like, all right, he's got a prolapse, what that is. Went back in, looked at it, I'm like, no, that's not prolapse. I mean, it was freaky.
Yeah.
It was very bizarre.
Yeah. And yeah. It was it was exactly what I thought it was. Of course, like a dumbass, I posted it online. Hey, so you want to be a breeder? That's what you got to this is what you got to look forward to sometimes. Well, fine, you too. Like,
you didn't do anything.
Oh, it's funny because I even contacted one of our vets, just messaged him some pictures and stuff, and he's just like, "What do you call? You know what that is? What are you calling me for? I should be calling you about this." I'm like, I just covering my tracks here.
Making sure, yeah.
Send me a message tonight with something doctoral so I can post a screenshot of it so people know that I actually talked to you. So the mom will leave me alone.
Yeah. All was fine. I got two. She did lay, 3 slugs early and then laid 3, and I lost one, so I only got 2 eggs. And
2 good eggs, better than none, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And usually I double clutch them, and I'm just like, nah. Don't want to risk it. No biggie.
Are you doing the AML Pyros again this year?
I am some. I sold off 2 because last year I still got. No, I think everyone's eating now.
Oh, king snakes!
And I was like, all right, that's a bit much.
Montane kings.
I think I had hard, 15 of them. I had 16 altogether. No, I think that was 4 clutches. And like right off the rip, 1 ate, and then no one ate. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. I threw everybody into brumation with their parents. They hatched in August. And I threw them in the brumation in November. So then I brought them out February. And that picked off a few of them.
Yeah.
I think everyone now is pretty much eating, but
Pyros like to brumate and then eat. And I don't know if that happens just necessarily in the wild, but for that particular species,
I'm betting it does.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
I think a lot of snakes do that.
That higher elevation and stuff, food isn't going to be,
right.
Availability, the window's going to be smaller. Just take your pick.
I have a pair of Alterna 9 Mile North Sandersons that are they're insane. They're so badass. And it's from a wild caught male that a buddy found last year and paired to an F1 female. And he, which is another weird thing. A wild caught male to a female will breed every time. And I don't know why that's a thing, but he caught it, took it home, they bred that night. Like literally he was out on the prowl. And
he's probably like, this is pretty easy.
Yeah. He's like, oh my God, it's right here.
They bring you to them?
Yeah. For some reason, I have done everything. These snakes have brumated. They brumated in my buddy's collection. I have done all the alternate tricks. All like I don't know any. I'm almost at the point where I have like 2 more things I'm going to try, and it's like time to start putting tails down these things' throats. They ain't eating. None of his are eaten either. He's like the alternate guy, right? And it's like I don't know what's happening. This is really weird. So yeah, I've probably talked about Alterna. As long as you're prepared and you have the tricks, they'll be fine. Man, these are testing my capabilities, and I'm talking multiple different species of lizards, literally just lizards, brown paper bags, the boiling, the washing, I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, I actually don't know what else to try.
Have you done all of them at the same time?
That was what I was about to say. Is like just trying everything, right? Like, let's try boiled, brained, washed, scented.
You wash it, you boil it, you brain it, you scent it, you put it in a paper bag.
How about putting like 4 or 5 pinkies in there at one time?
I've not tried that. I've not tried frog. That is, and I do have some a scenting frog and some frog juice. So maybe I'll try frog next. I mean, the other thing is like these are little tiny snakes. You can't really bug them too much, right? Like you try to feed them, you can't just try again the next day.
It only gets more. You're only digging yourself a deeper hole when you try and offer it to them constantly.
Yeah,
I figured
so now I've got to go through and retry some of the. They haven't lost any weight with me, and he had punked them a few times before brumation. Sometimes keepers will do that. They'll give a little bit of carnivore care or baby food. He does carnivore care, and so before brumation he'll do that for a couple weeks, and then put them down for brumation for 4 months. These did have a full 4-month brumation, so yeah, maybe I'll try. I'm gonna try boiled with frog juice and then non-boiled with frog juice, washed with frog juice. I'm gonna try little brown paper bags. Let's do that.
Have you tried Mediterranean geckos?
I've tried Mediterranean gecko tails. They're tiny. Tiny.
Oh.
I don't even know if they can be real cool if I could breed leopard geckos and I could snap their tails off. But it turns out Christopher Thomas Paint Shop cannot breed fucking leopard geckos. So
you got Coleonyx. That's even.
I do have Coleonyx, but I've pulled their tails off so many times and made little tailed tinctures. So
my wife was wanting a lychee, and she was trying to justify it. Well, we can tape pinkies to it, and let's let send the pinkies with lychees. Well, let's tape it right to it. You can just hang out with him for a few days.
I get you a lychee this year.
Oh, I don't need no lychee.
They're easy. They're fun. Lychees they're neat. I've had some issues with my pair that's been going for many years now. I've sent Justin. I don't know if I've sent y'all all the video, but they've been fighting a little bit. But I've got another pair I'm putting together Saturday. I've got a new pair of granites that I'm putting together on Saturday.
But everything you've shown me about those tells me that there's nothing enjoyable about those lizards.
Until you hold one, until you put one in your hand, and you're like, "Holy shit, this animal!"
Maybe I don't know. Every time you talk about them, they're either fighting and trying not to kill each other, or they're like wanting to bite the shit out of you. Like they're drawing blood, whether it's from their friend or from you. It's happening.
Once you get them out of their enclosure, they're super chill. They're not fussy. They're never fussy outside of their enclosure. They just don't. They don't like being messed with.
I got the Ackies, man. That's plenty.
How are those going? I mean,
good.
They breed pretty young, right?
Yeah, so they have a dig box, but I haven't noticed any signs of like significant weight loss or anything from the female, signifying that maybe she would have laid, but I don't know.
They are the way you get a pair of Ackies.
Still not a confirmed pair or anything either, so it's entirely possible that it's not a pair.
Isn't there like an idea that they may be? You could just start with 2 babies, and if you keep them together, they'll become male and female. I've heard this.
I've heard something similar. I don't know if it's about Ackies in particular or something else. But...
Like they don't have determined sex when they're born. It's like they become what they need to be.
They morph.
Yeah, like that sounds really stupid. And I'm saying it out loud, and it sounds real dumb. But I thought that was like a thing with Ackies. I don't know. Maybe somebody tell me I'm wrong. But I thought that's what Ackies did. They like don't start out as a particular sex. They become a sex if you keep them in pairs. Sounds real.
Look into that.
Yeah, you heard it here first, guys.
Well, we're at the 2-hour mark. Anything else? Any closing remarks?
I'm good.
Hope everyone has a good season.
Yeah. Yeah, Eric, I hope you knock it out of the park like you did last year.
Hopefully.
Looks like he's on track.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track. Absolutely, yeah.
I do have some another project I was working on, sun-kissed lavender aneries.
Oh.
Looking forward to see what those look like.
And you have stuff for sale on Morph Market currently, right?
Those? No.
No, I mean just in general.
Oh yeah. There's, I think there's like 80 animals on there.
Oh wow.
Still.
Periodically, I'll go through and look at what you got because I feel like it changes a lot, and I'm not on there enough to keep up with it day to day.
You do a very good job of updating your posts. I'm seeing, oh man, what has Eric got now? Those sun-kissed Miamis are so badass.
Yeah, they're still there. I'm like,
yeah, it's also a weird
nobody
time.
but us appreciates them, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a man. You don't. They're not. They're also priced very reasonably. Those are.
That's what I thought too.
I think they're badass. I don't need more snakes. I don't need more snakes.
Just like Daytona, man. Set me loose with like $1,000. I'll do some damage. All I need.
You coming to Daytona this year, Eric?
I doubt it. I don't know though. I don't know.
You gotta go, man. It's so badass.
I know. You know, the thing is, I've actually never even been to one, even visiting.
Well, there's a lot of corns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like the Colubrid show. I think it's right up your alley. And plus, you get to hang out at the gazebo and drink beers with us. It'll be fun.
Well, you don't want me drinking beer.
We always have fun. It's we stay up extremely late at night and start.
Y'all do.
Snakes. Oh yeah, just
about like midnight. I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I think I stayed.
But I'm always the first one up then too, because like I'm up at like 6 and ready to go. But
I just stay up till 3 a.m, and then all of a sudden,
that's horrible.
I think I
love sleep too much.
I think me and Jake were the last people. Me,
Probably.
Jake, and Casey Cannon. Oh my God, Casey Cannon. Oh, he's a demon. Me, him, and Jake were the last people left on Friday night, and then Saturday night I don't remember too much of. And then Sunday night sucked because my flight got canceled. I went to bed at like 10 o'clock or I tried to go to bed, but yeah,
ridiculous.
It's fun. Everybody come see us at Daytona.
Well, this episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Once again, check them out. Facebook, Instagram. Use the code THN at checkout. Save yourself a little bit of money. Get yourself something nice. Be it a rack, be it a cage. You can't go wrong. I cannot wait to get my hands on my stuff so I can upgrade some things and move some things around.
Awesome.
Another great room reorganization is in the horizon. Dreading it, but also looking forward to it because I hate having to rearrange everything.
It's such a pain in the ass.
It is, especially when you got a small ass room like me. No room to move around. So check them out and then head on over to SilentHillReptiles.com and see what they've got up for grabs. Currently, I know, like I said, they've got a ton of clutches and stuff that they weren't even planning on having, but they have them. So we'll see what happens there on the for sale page. But give them a follow as well on Facebook and Instagram. And then go hunt down ECW Reptiles on Facebook and Instagram and Morph Market and follow them on all three. And stop sleeping on the many snakes he has for sale currently.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because some of them just should not. They should have been gone. They should have been gone a long time ago.
They're only going up in price.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're appreciating in value.
The more pinkies I pump into them, it's 50 cents a top.
Each one. There's a little ringer.
We'll be back for Snakes and Stogies on Monday, as far as I know, as long as Phil Wolf doesn't bail on me again for his anniversary. It's not a valid excuse. Just
totally
so everyone knows. Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yep. See you guys.
Later.
Have a good one, Eric.